what is it about Tucker Carlson and Trump that want to push pseudoscience when there are actual issues at stake for people's lives?
Absolutely. Such a good question. I think Tucker Carlson and Trump are simple. And very often their accusation is the closest thing we will get to a confession. And what I mean by that is that when they say that progressives don't care about men, what they're really saying, it's often very much a projection. And I know that because I saw Tucker Carlson all week talk about the end of men, right? Talk about all of the pseudoscience that you talked about in your intro, but make no mention of the CDC's report showing that the leading cause of death for children and for adolescents is gun violence. And 86% of those deaths are young boys. And so what's really putting men and boys at risk are issues like gun violence, which Tucker Carlson makes no mention of. And actually, you know, for all his talk about being manly and being masculine and being strong, he refuses to stand up to the gun lobby. And that would be like a big show of strength. And so if Tucker Carlson really cares about men, I implore him to prove it, to show it, to cover those stories that really impact men's health.
Well, Liz, first of all, thank you so much for taking one for the team and going through all of that information so that you can simplify and synthesize it for us, because just that intro to that documentary was a little painful. But Liz, there's something else that you often write about, and it is this connection with looking at being misogynistic, being authoritarian, the connection between the two, and the place women have in that environment. Speak to that and how this documentary basically helps feed into those type of narratives.
Sexism is often talked about in the ways that it impacts women. And obviously, there's no shortage of data and evidence of the ways that women are hurt by it. But sexism doesn't just distort the way that we view women and our definition of womanhood. It also distorts our view and our definition of manhood. And in that way, often will come to a disadvantage to men. With, again, these ideas of reverting back to a masculine order, reverting back to, I mean, we're seeing wrestling and, again, red light therapy and these really sort of ridiculous or outlandish solutions to, I think, a really real problem that a lot of men are insecure about the future. A lot of men have issues. And so the solution is not to go back to the poison that got us here in the first place, but to actually reimagine a world in the way that we've done it with women, right? Women have community, have a lot of conversations. I've had them with you about how we can defeat these gender ideals. But men have a gender too, and they need to be given the same kind of tools and options to fight those stereotypes, not go back into an old order that hurt them in the first place.
So then what do you think Tucker Carlson is trying to get at with this, what he's communicating?
I think that he's afraid. Truly, that's all I see when I see that. That's all I see. I see insecurity. I see fear. We saw it in Trump's campaign, but we see that with this kind of messaging, it can work, right? The men who often had the highest levels of insecurities tended to actually vote for Trump, right? There's real data that shows that. So there is a danger when they are so good at messaging, and that progressives don't always have really a good story to sort of counter that messaging with. And so I really think it is important for progressives to think about how they will cater to men. What are the stories that they're telling that will resonate with men and boys?
And I think when we talk about feminism and allyship, we need to make sure that women are talking to our cousins, our brothers, our dads, our sons, our nephews, because they are part of the solution that you so well explained. Thank you, Liz, for your conversation tonight.
Thank you so much.